What's up everyone, it's Endymion, and with Starfield available in early access, eager players have been taking to the stars to live their wildest dreams. From flying spaceships, shooting weird alien things in the face, and whatever other nonsense they want to get up to. But like always with many AAA releases these days, there's going to be problems that emerge. So in this video, I want to talk about the ongoing discussion of this borderline insane dispute over pronouns in Starfield. I also want to talk about the growing concerns of players as early access users begin to refund the game, and how Reddit isn't happy about it, and the myriad of glitches and false promises of Todd Howard and his team. This will be a fun one to make, so let's begin. I think it's important we first cover this Starfield pronoun controversy right away. There's some players that are voicing their concerns that Starfield asking you for pronouns is nonsense. And it's another step towards the game industry becoming a woke dystopia. This all began when Heelvsbabyface released a reaction video about this, which I figure if I'm gonna speak on it, you should probably watch the clip. I'll be bleeping out the swears cause you'll see it's a lot of swear words. Anyway, here's the clip.
I just want to say something to you, Bethesda. Just want to say a little something. There is nothing I love more. Taking my headphones off. Bethesda, there is nothing I love more than to sit down, comfy chair, turn on my PC, fire up a brand new RPG, lose myself, think, oh my god, just think of this world, just think of all the planets I can visit, all the immersive things that I can get involved with, all the fights, all the relationships, all the people I meet, all the places I go. I'm so excited to go there. And you know, I love nothing more than, with all of that laid out in front of me, I love nothing more than to be dragged out at every fucking conceivable opportunity so you can fucking current day us. Sorry, did you want to get immersed in our world? Yeah, well, guess what? Pronouns! Gender ambiguity! Current day California! Because that's all we know! Because we're boring! We're so boring! We can't see past our own reflection. That's the level of our narcissism here at Bethesda Western Game Company. Your immersion, you having a good time, you falling into a world and just getting lost. No, no, no! Current day! Off! You're boring! You're dull! You have nothing to say! You are a one-hived mind twat waffle! That's all you are! And you wonder why people are getting so sick and tired! You take everything we love, all our immersions, all our fantasies, all our escapism, and you just can't help shovel your dog crap ideology into everything, every single solitary thing.
This clip has basically gone viral and has attracted the attention of tons of people from all corners of the internet. Some calling Heels a loser while others are praising him. It's a really messy situation. While I agree with some things that he said, I personally don't think the existence of pronouns in a game is something to really be mad about. In any RPG game when you're able to make yourself, you're given a choice between your gender, your hair, and everything else. It's pretty basic standard stuff that's been a part of gaming since forever. In Starfield, you can choose between 3 versions of pronouns: he, him, she, her, and they, them. Ultimately, if you compare the amount of work that would have to go in to address these 3 pronoun choices, the only real difference between Starfield and every other game of its kind would be the they-them inclusion. Since even games like Mass Effect and beyond have all had voice lines recorded to address the player character as he or she. It's standard, is what I'm saying. Look, I get where Heels is coming from. He's sick of identity politics infesting every form of video games in general. I mean, even in Baldur's Gate 3, you can play as a man and give yourself lady parts down there, for example. It's eye-roll worthy to varying degrees for sure, but I think getting mad over 3 options of pronouns in Starfield is a lot like being mad about the gender-neutral bathrooms in, say, the Dead Space remake. To be real with you, both of these creative decisions aren't really of any importance that, to me anyway, affects my enjoyment of a game. In Starfield's case, if you don't pick they, them as your pronouns, but instead he, him, then obviously for the rest of your time playing it, you would never hear your character being referred to as they, them, which ultimately means your issue would be resolved before you even start playing the game. Things I take more issue with in games these days is not really pronouns myself, but how the genders of characters are treated in modern gaming. In the Horizon series, for example, almost every single person in a position of power is a woman, with men almost exclusively being grunts, bandits, or idiots. And how white people are generally relegated to villainous roles within many forms of media these days. And female characters can only be strong within the eyes of modern writers if they strip them of all emotion and just turn them into emotionless robots. These are things I find more offensive and far more annoying than the pronouns of my character personally. The pronoun concept would be very annoying if, for example, Starfield or any other game really decided to add like 20 or 50 different pronouns. You know the ones I'm talking about, all the nonsense people come up with online to make themselves seem like they're so cool and different. Pronouns like Zyre, Zai, Ver, Zem, Vis, Zers, I'm probably not even saying any of these right. I could go on, but you get the idea. Like, what the hell is heirs or fae fairs? Hold up, I'm gonna look this up. What is a fae? Okay, here's the explanation. Fae or fair self is a set of gender-neutral neo-pronouns. It can be a non-themed pronoun set, or it may have connotations to fairies for a given individual. The set could also be used as a reclamation of the word fairy, which has a history of being used in a derogatory manner towards queer folk, or by autistic folk in relation to changelings, a type of fae. Okay, yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. Thankfully, Starfield cuts it off at the logical point and just goes with him, her, and they. I feel as if that's good enough and can properly cover the entirety of anybody that plays the game. Because let's be real, we can't expect game devs to add literal hundreds of pronoun variations going forward. But if I met a character in a game and they told me their pronouns were Fae or Zim, I would just roll my eyes and walk away. Like the Z-Zim neo-pronouns are apparently gender neutral and just remove the H in him with an X. So isn't that the same as they, them? I don't know, man. I feel like a 7-year-old grandpa trying to understand young people these days when I go down these rabbit holes. The point is that I think this pronoun debate is getting wildly blown out of proportion. But Heels has a right as a customer to be mad if a product talks down to him. While I don't necessarily agree 100% with his take, I understand the generalization of his complaints. But I don't generally believe that if a game makes you choose your pronouns that it is now garbage. There's far more concerning things with modern gaming that annoy me far more, like over-monetization, the unoptimization of games at release, and pushing false promises in order to build hype. And speaking of bugs in games and false promises, that brings us to this next story, which is that Starfield refunds are coming fast during early access. Refunds of any game at release is of course nothing new. Just look at the recently released Armored Core 6 and how players were refunding it because they couldn't kill the opening level boss. Which, in case you do get stuck there, just fly into the ship and use your sword. You're welcome, you'll be fine. But this is nothing new, but what's surprising to me anyway is how quickly people are turning their opinions mere days into early access. It has been universally said pretty much that Starfield features one of the worst openings in Bethesda game history. And there's also plenty of players who say the game gets better the more you play it. However, on Reddit, there's a growing concern of people just being flat out disappointed by Bethesda's latest adventure. Which brings me to this really popular Reddit thread explaining this, and the user who started this thread voiced their concerns after playing Starfield in early access. User NoDust2105 said, and I quote, "Starfield feels like it's regressed from other Bethesda games. I tried liking it, but the constant loading in a space environment translates poorly compared to games like Skyrim and Fallout. With Skyrim and Fallout, you feel like you're in this world and can walk anywhere you want. With Starfield, I feel like I'm contained in a new box every 5 minutes. This game is an open world. It handles the map worse than Skyrim or Fallout 4. With those games, you can walk everywhere. Starfield is just a constant stream of teleporting where you have to be and cranking out missions. It's like trying to exit Whiterun in Skyrim, then fast traveling to the open world, then in the open world you walk to your horse, go through a menu, and now you fast travel on your horse in a cutscene to Solitude. The feeling of constantly being contained and limited, almost as if I'm playing a linear single-player game, is just not pleasant at all. We went from open-world RPGs to fast travel simulators. I'm not asking for a space sim, I'm asking for a game as big as this to not feel 1 mile long and an inch deep when it comes to exploration, end quote. This is unfortunate to hear, and that many players are agreeing with this post, with others saying, I like the game a lot and assume I'm going to spend 100 hours in it by the end of this year, but the space vehicle layer is a baffling design choice. Why is it there? I'm just fast traveling between everything anyway and not by choice. There's just no mechanism that makes spaceflight feel like an organic and necessary layer of interactivity for the player. I don't know, it took me a few hours, but I'm into it now and loving it. And of course there's loading screens, but that was to be expected with so many planets. It isn't bothering me, but I can see why it would not be for everyone. I didn't expect a space sim, but I did expect space to feel like the equivalent of a Bethesda game studio map, with the planets being the buildings and dungeons in major cities feeling like visiting cities in Fallout or Skyrim. I expected my step out moment to be me realizing I was in space and can go anywhere while discovering things along the way. This sentiment of the game being as wide as an ocean but an inch deep has already been said by review sites like GameSpot, but it's unfortunate that it's true. I personally don't like how there's this section of AAA games like Starfield or Ubisoft with games like Ghost Recon Wildlands, for example, that simply just make their worlds big for bigness sake. It's the issue many have with open world games for years at this point. That studios and publishers are obsessed with maximizing player engagement by offering tons of content. But this usually just ends up being a vast world filled with the same things over and over. But in Starfield's case, it has infinite planets full of nothing at all. Even YouTuber Luke Stevens said this recently as well.
Okay, and now as you can see, we just have to run all the way up over that hill. Now I could just sit here and hold down W, but instead I'm actually going to press the key that I use for auto run, which is something you can set on PC. So I'm just going to hit that, and then my hands are free, and I can check your comments on YouTube or whatever while it just runs forward for me, because there's nothing else to do in the meantime. So we're just going to let the game play itself until something interesting happens. And here we are at the ocean. There we go. We made it. Still no points of interest have spawned. There's nothing like that. This area of the planet, for whatever reason, is just completely empty with nothing to see or find.
And to me, personally, that isn't content. It's just nothing. Like, actually nothing. There's nothing to do there. And it's bizarre to me anyway that Starfield has no land vehicles that you can ride on these planets either. Extra weird since Bethesda games like Skyrim or Oblivion have mounts at the very least in the past. And it's not like games before didn't have faster ways of getting around instead of just walking. This has been likely done on purpose, would be my guess. If players were given a land vehicle to traverse the vast emptiness, then the empty world that's already there would bring the same level of disappointment twice as quick. But in my weird conspiracy brain, Bethesda likely didn't put vehicles on planets simply to increase player engagement time, and ensure players take longer to complete Starfield, since, as you know, Starfield is a Game Pass game. And Microsoft obviously makes money on their subscriptions, so you gotta make people waste their time somehow in order to ensure that renewal period happens. It's a trick that many MMO-like games do as well, and I never liked it. It's also very bizarre to see people saying Starfield has no bugs, as it's not only cope, but insanely inaccurate too. Here's some clips of just some of the bugs in the game, along with the creators' accounts in case you want to see more.
I knew it! Tommy Bitlow, SSNN research intern. Word is the Frontier was involved in an attack? It's true, right? You saw some real action? This is great. Great! My boss, Nadia Mufaz, would kill to talk to you.
And another big discussion on places like Reddit or Twitter is how Bethesda's latest Epic's facial animations and character models They look worse than expected. Fans say it's cause Starfield is open world, but other open world games prove that this isn't the case. Here's some examples compared to Starfield.
Claims in the Daunt under Osram law, even though they're on Karja land.
The bottom. We beheld the treasure my Gramps first discovered.
Even better. Secondly, we're always looking for new applicants. So, as you travel around meeting people, when the occasion arises, see if you can interest them in signing up for the list. I'm pretty sure I overheard some people in here talking about wanting to start a new life. Why don't you start with them?
He couldn't save his kid, his baby. And that's what brought him back.
There's facial expressions and lip syncing, which are done procedurally by a program, are incredibly accurate. And just listening to the characters speak and watching their facial expressions, wrinkled eyebrows and foreheads, squinting eyes, and different emotions show you something you would never expect in a Bethesda game. And the character models look really great under the correct lighting.
There's just no reality here where the level of unpolished and very obvious terrible character models makes any sense. Even in Baldur's Gate 3, which has hundreds of voiced NPCs, they look unique at least. And we can't even use some comparison or complaint of, well, Larian has more staff members than Bethesda, when that's just not true. BG3 had around 300 or so staff members with about $100 million in budgeting when it came to bringing that game to life. Whereas Starfield had twice the budget and 500 devs, yet it looks last gen compared to Baldur's Gate. And when combining all of Starfield's costs over a 7 years long development, the budget is allegedly closer to $300 or $400 million. So how does a game with almost 4 times the budget of Baldur's Gate 3 look like, well, this?
Go girl! Her hair's growing, she got a haircut. She got a haircut. Why am I going so? Oh my god. Why am I going so fast? Why am I so fast?
Honestly, really enjoying the game so far. Like, I've never seen combat like this in any game ever. You know? Maybe Shadow of the Colossus was like the previous thing with this kind of combat. If you have a PS5, you are missing out.
It's sadly a repeating fable over at Microsoft when it comes to their games. Since Halo Infinite had a budget of around $500 million, with a large chunk of it going into alpha versions that were scrapped. I've spoken about this before, but Microsoft has a really poor managing problem when it comes to their studios. And when they can't seem to figure out how to make their studios operate efficiently, they just give up and buy more studios. But this doesn't fix the problem at hand and instead just spreads their already apparent problems into even more future games. So why is Starfield a buggy game with lackluster procedural generation, teleporting load screens, bad NPCs, and more? Honestly, cause it's Microsoft, that's why. Call me a fanboy, call me whatever you want. The truth is that Microsoft's Xbox division continues to bleed money without producing enough results. Starfield will be successful, sure, but that's not saying much when it's the only somewhat good game coming out of Xbox since the Forza games. But that's what I got for you today. Pronouns cause the entire internet to go into a frenzy, Starfield refunds are rampant, the honeymoon period is dropping off faster than usual, and bugs are everywhere. Sounds like any other Bethesda game if we're being honest. But let me know what you think as always, subscribe for more nonsense in the future, and like the video to help the channel out. Have a great day, enjoy whatever it is you're playing, and I will see you in the next one.